Star this morning. There is a poll carried out by the Star, and this is in regard to the running mates. And you know, this has become a catnip issue, especially in the Kwanza Kenya, or Kenya Kwanza, I should say. And they've done a poll. This is according to the Star. Mudavadi Rigathi best for Ruto poll. Mudavadi Rigathi best for Ruto, that is what the poll says. And you have there as a flagger, running mates, Musalia catches up with Gachagua as Kenneth maintains lead. Musalia catches up with Gachagua as Kenneth maintains lead. Mudavadi Rigathi best for Ruto. Peter Kenneth remains the favorite to deputize Raila, surpassing Kalonzo. And this is a story that you want to follow on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. Also, death and cheating, day one of KCSE exams. Death and cheating, day one of KCSE exam. You can follow the story inside the Star this morning. Also on top there, prime border suspect in Forest Road, motorist sexual assault arrested. You know the story by now. You can follow it also on page 2 of the Star. People Daily is up next. You can grab a copy of the Star if you so wish. And I would just want to show you also what we have inside the People Daily. All right, we have also the People Daily for you. Pardon me. People Daily is coming up shortly, and this is what we have on the front page of the People Daily. Confusion in Azimio as allies differ is what is on the front page of the People Daily this morning. Confusion as allies differ. There you go. And it says, troubled waters. Allies of Raila and Kalonzo are reading from different scripts, with one camp saying they joined as coalition and other denying. That is a story that you want to follow on page 4 of the People Daily. And we're eagerly waiting, of course, for Dan Mazo to clarify on this today. Kalonzo Musyoka, he said, quote unquote, if I asked all those party secretary general present what they affixed their signatures to, nobody knows. Nobody knows. That is what he says. So this is the People Daily for you. Also, seasons of defections sets in, and these are some of the leaders who have defected. You can see their faces here. We have major dates. March the 26th, anyone vying for a seat must belong to a party if they are not independent. April the 9th, parties submit names of aspirants to participate in nominations to IBC. April the 16th, IBC Gazettes submit names and dates for party primaries. Also, we do have April 16th to 22nd there, party primaries. May the 9th, independent candidates must not belong to any party. And the page 2, wary of brutal nominations, horned politicians are seeking tickets from small parties. This is what we have here. We can see some of the faces of the leaders who've defected so far. Sam Ongeri, Njeru Ndigwa, Kibani Wamatangi has gone to UDA, Ken Lusaka, Philip Kutima, and Dalmas Otieno as well. This is what is inside the People Daily. On top there, phone call gave away motorist attack suspect is another story that you want to follow. And he was nabbed yesterday crossing, of course, borders there to Tanzania. That is the People Daily for you. We have the Business Daily, and this is what is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. Coming up shortly. And it's all about this steel tycoon selling power farm stake back to Moi family. That is what is on the front page of the Business Daily today. Steel tycoon sells power farm stake back to Moi family. Baringo Senator Gideon Moi buys back majority stake in Sosian Menengai geothermal power. He sold to DevKey owner in 2017. That is what we have on the front page of the Business Daily. Also, Stanchart pays record 7.1 billion dividends. That is billion shillings dividends. You can follow the story on page 6 of the Business Daily. Subsidy hitch lifts fuel prices to all-time highs. Another story on the front page of the Business Daily. Also, building home loans. Find out all the details about this inside the Business Daily this morning. This is how it looks. Also, you can grab a copy if it floats your boat. Right, let's cross over borders now to Rwanda and we find out what we have on the front page of the New Times. As we wind up on that, our guest already here in studio with us. We continue with the conversation. It's a big day for UDA party where they're going to unveil the presidential candidate or crown him. That is Deputy President William Ruto as well. But still, as that is continuing, we have also some jitters within Azimio Oka deal where we have the principal, Kalonzo Musyoka, saying some of the details that were appended to on that particular document he's not really privy to. Even the secretaries generals are not certain about what they affixed their signature to on that particular document. What does this really portend? We shall find out. Awaka kwa kuhepwa nyumbani. Awaka kwa kuhepwa nyumbani. This is what is on the front page of Taifa Leo. I thought I should just show you this before we cross over to Rwanda. This is what we do have there. Hatua ya wanasiasa wa Kiambu kuhamia mrengo wa Ruto mnamo Jumapili yaripotiwa kukasirisha rais. Rais alipotiwa kuwafokea vikali wandani wake baada ya wanasiasa tajika Mlima Kenya kuhamia UDA siku moja tu baada yake kuidhinisha Raila. Duru zaeleza wamewaagiza wakuu kumpa ripoti kuhusu hali halisi ya siasa Mlima Kenya na jinsi mradi wa Azimio unavyopokelewa na wakazi. That is a Swahili tripping off my tongue there. You can follow the story on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. This is how it looks. Make sure you grab a copy for yourself. Good, let's move on swiftly and we find out what is on the front page of the New Times as we wind up on the paper review. And this is what is on the front page of the New Times in Rwanda this morning. What is the fate of families left in ex-Gihembe refugee camp? That is the probing question. Most Congolese refugees have been in Rwanda for over 2 decades. Follow the story on page 4 of the New Times in Rwanda. Kagame, General Muhoozi meet again in Kigali. President Kagame receives Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the commander of UPDF Land Forces and senior presidential advisor on special operations, to discuss Rwanda-Uganda relations in Kigali on Monday. You can follow the story on page 14 of, you can follow the story on page 5 of the New Times in Rwanda. Right. But information also is General Muhoozi had stepped down. But you can read all the details there inside the New Times this morning. Good, I think at this point now it's important that I should introduce our guests. They're already here. We continue apace with the conversation. Also, we have the editorial cartoons and also our leading stories to just also set the tone for the conversation here. I want to introduce the Senior Counsel, Dr. Otende Amolo, who's also the Member of Parliament for Rarieda. Also, we do have with us Dan Mazo, who is a Member of Parliament for Makueni. We have also with us Wilson Sossion, who is a nominated Member of Parliament. Aaron Chirot, as I promised or mentioned earlier, he has that particular National Delegates Convention that is happening today and is part and parcel of prepping up the President early in the morning for that particular meeting. So he sent his apologies. We continue nonetheless with the conversation. Good morning. Otenda Molo, good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Right, thank you for joining us. Also, Wilson Sossion, good morning.
Yeah,
good to see you. You've been down on the ground, really campaigning hard,
yes,
I can see.
Indeed.
And Dan Mazo, we missed you last week. You had in the States,
yes,
on official duties. Yes, welcome back.
I was away in Washington, D.C. and New York.
Washington, D.C. and New York.
Yes.
Fantastic. What really happened there? It seems that you're doggedly following after the Deputy President was there. What was the feel and flavor that maybe you got from the ground on that particular visit?
Yes, we actually arrived the day the Deputy President left, and I was accompanied by Leader of Majority in the House, the Honorable Kimunya, among other few members of Parliament, based on the political parties.
Yes. And
the feedback really was that ordinarily what the practice in America is, if you are not happy with the government, you resign.
You resign?
Yes, if you're not happy with the government, don't mourn about it, resign. And that's the feeling out there.
That he should resign?
Should have resigned instead of, and then go and form a government you are happy with. Yes.
Okay, he should resign. I think it's too late in the day. We only just have a few months to the general election. It won't make any discernible difference. Right, but let's just hear from Otenda Molo. Big day also on Saturday for Azimio. What was your feeling that way? Kalonzo joining us. We've had here Dan Mazo, who's been very categorical. I wish we could have actually, taken those bites that you've given us before, that there's going to be an en masse walkout in Ukumbani from, Kalonzo Musyoka if he will work with Raila Odinga at the end of the day. But that was a big day that we saw him making that particular move. Whether it was a smart move or not, it is you to tell us. It is also Otenda Molo to tell us. And these nitty-gritty details that Kalonzo says he's not really clear about, the documents that they append their signatures that are really coming out to the fore right now, is something that we need to discuss this morning. So Otenda Molo, just briefly give us also your introductory remarks. Good morning.
Thank you. First, I agree with Dan Manzo, and I've said this now for 3 years.
For 3 years?
Yes. I've repeated it more than 100 times, that what the Constitution requires of a deputy president is to deputize the president. The moment any deputy president, like any deputy governor, comes to the conclusion that they cannot work with the president,
yes,
they ought to resign. That is what is expected legally. That is what is expected morally.
Yes.
That is what is expected logically. So to continue to enjoy the perks of a deputy president, to continue to occupy the number 2 position in the country, and yet you go abroad to decampaign the country, to bastardize the country, is morally bankrupt, in my view. It is completely wrong. It is unacceptable. I think the deputy president owes the entire country an apology. You don't go out there and start, saying untruths about the country, including things that you yourself have been accused of. And then you paint it as if the whole country and everyone else except you is guilty of it. Now, let me come to Azimio.
Yes.
I'm a very happy man.
You're a very happy man.
I'm a very, very happy man because, and I want to thank His Excellency Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka for doing the right thing. If you see page 12 of The Nation, he says, and I agree with him, he's urged his supporters to support Raila Odinga as the presidential candidate. And he says that that is the right thing to do. Indeed, it is the right thing to do. I had said on this show for the last 2 weeks that time was not on our side. And I'm glad that Kalonzo Musyoka seized the opportunity and realized that time was not on our side. I'm glad that he did not listen to the headliners. I am hoping that by the end of today's show, Dan Mahanzo will cease being one of the headliners. He was a headliner previously. But you see, they say that, even Saul saw the light and changed his mind. In fact, he got christened. So I'm hoping that my friend Dan Mahanzo, I don't know his third name, as Luo's usually. Luo has an average like 5 names.
Maybe today will be a handy opportunity for him to tell us his third name.
His third name, and I think that's the name that will help us. But at the end of the day, time was never on our side. I'm glad Kalonzo Musyoka came on board. The issue in terms of what document was signed is not a big issue. I think people are trying to create a mountain out of a molehill. The document that was signed, the coalition agreement, is a document that was shared. On the Jubilee side, we had my friend and advocate Tom Masharia. On the Oka side, we had my friend Gordon Ogola. We had my other friend Eunice Lumalas. All of them were privy to the document. And Paul Mwangi and myself, from the ODM side. Now, the thing is that all the secretaries general who are affiliated to Azimio signed, and once they signed, we have to put the document together and then we have to register it. Once it's registered, duly witnessed and all, then it's going to be shared again with all the affiliate parties, but they are fully aware of the document in terms of the content.
They're fully aware?
Yes. Okay,
so this particular statement that they are not really aware on what they really signed into is not particularly true?
As I said, the document was signed by the Secretaries General because that is what the law requires, not party leaders. Secondly, before it was signed, it was discussed.
It was discussed.
Now, whether or not all the parties are fully aware is really not a matter that is here or there. Because what is important is that their duly appointed lawyers, legal representatives are aware, and their duly appointed Secretaries General signed. And once it is lodged with the registrar, as should be lodged anytime now, then it's going to be redistributed to all the parties. But the important thing is, there's nothing untoward, there's nothing alarming, there's nothing highly secretive that would cause any alarm on the part of anyone. At the end of the day, the coalition agreement creates the highest organ of the party as the council, the Azimio Council, which comprises of 7 people. And of that council, 2 are from Jubilee, 2 are from ODM, 2 are from the Oka coalition, and a chair. And ultimately, any issue that needs to be determined will be determined by that council. It's not an issue that requires to be debated here or there, because already the agreement was signed and it's in force.
Okay, thank you. Wilson Susion, good to see you. Good morning. Ruto's big day. Ruto's big day, the national convention happening today. So I know from here.
Yeah, of course, we're looking forward from here straight to Kasarani, where we shall unveil the presidential candidate of Kenya Kwanza and the United Democratic Alliance National Delegates Conference will endorse the presidential candidate before being unveiled by the coalition.
All right. We had Tracy Wanjiku, I think the 23-year-old university student that also was presenting her papers, but she was disqualified. She doesn't have a degree in the first place. I'm just wondering, before you vetting these candidates who were presenting their papers, didn't you advise them on some of, credentials that they need?
That is why there is vetting.
Sorry?
That's why there is vetting.
That's what I'm saying. When even you're shortlisting at the end of the day, how do you shortlist someone who clearly she's not really passing muster as far as
democracy? Allow people to present themselves, and I don't see anything fundamentally wrong. Within the normal standards of interviews, and candidates who presented themselves are fundamentally right to appear before the panel, and that is the sole purpose of vetting, because we must promote democracy within parties and of course within the country. So I don't see anything fundamentally wrong with that. But let me get back to the statement that has been made by my 2 senior lawyers, Otiende Amolo and Dan Manso, about the deputy president. And I greatly respect Otiende Amolo, having been a member of the experts in delivering our current constitution. Our constitution was framed in such a manner that we cannot have a rogue president who will dismiss or sack the deputy president. And we were curing a disease That is common in this country with all the vice presidents over the years. Once the president and the deputy president are elected on one ticket, then the deputy president cannot sack. The president cannot sack the deputy president. And I think it is mischievous at this time to argue on the basis of advantages of convenience for politics that the deputy president must really move out. If we are to analyze the political happenings in this country, the deputy president is innocent. The president himself has been more or less of a rogue dictator who has been running his own issues the way he wants. And therefore, you cannot expect the deputy president to simply walk out just on the mere basis of personal selfish interests of the president. The deputy president must remain put, and I see nothing wrong. And if we talk about the whole game and the chess of this succession, whoever has the interest in the presidency the most in these particular elections is Uhuru Kenyatta, more than Raila Odinga and more than William Ruto. And that's a threat to democracy. Yeah, because any exiting president in a vibrant democracy like the one we have in Kenya, and Kenya is one of the best democracies in the world, any exiting president should reduce or should avoid over-indulging in the democracy and the process of succession in the country. And what you look at here is very abnormal, because a president decides to dismantle his own political party, dismantle his own political party and try to make another formation or another coalition. And the truth of the matter is, if you look at every election in this country, particularly transitions, is about destroying political parties.
But it's not true that the Jubilee Party it has been dismantled.
And coming up with some funny, strange arrangements of convenience of the moment for power. That's the truth. And that is not addressing the aspirations and the interest of the people.
Okay.
So,
all right, even if we flip side on this other side of Kenya
Kwanza,
it's not really hoki-dory
to exercise whatever they want. But I don't think it is right to try and demonize the deputy president. The deputy president has done his best. He has exercised a lot of restraint in his position as the deputy president, even in the absence of cabinet meetings. The highest organ of running the state, as provided for in the Constitution.
But who has demonized?
He has organized.
Who has demonized the deputy president?
Of course, the president. Who doesn't know? That's public knowledge.
All right.
That's public knowledge.
Okay,
that's public knowledge.
Let's leave it at that. We'll come to that, because also within Kenya Kwanza, we need to make sure that also we have some clarity as far as the deputy president position is concerned, because it seems also Musalia Mudavadi's ANC party is not very happy with the development of the Mount Kenya, being skewed against ANC in terms of the deputy president, or the deputy president position being doled out at the end of the day. So you'll tell us more about that at the end of the day. But I just want us to move on to that particular story where doubt is now emerging on what exactly was signed between Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and the Azimio la Umoja team. During the delegates convention held in Kasarani on Saturday, that really happened. And in an exclusive interview with KTN News, 2 days after he signed a deal to support ODM leader Raila Odinga for president, Kalonzo maintained that what was signed was a cooperation deal between Azimio la Umoja coalition and One Kenya Alliance to form a grand coalition dubbed Azimio One Kenya Alliance. However, Raila Odinga's secretariat says it was Azimio coalition political party. So, what was it? Our political affairs reporter Emmanuel To put this into perspective.
2 days after the fanfare and the hype that surrounded the signing of the deal to unveil ODM leader Raila Odinga as the Azimio la Umoja movement presidential candidate, conflicting reports are now emerging on what exactly was agreed upon.
Raila Amolo Odinga tosha.
Speaking exclusively to KTN News at his Sekuru home in Kitui County, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka said what his Wiper party signed was an Azimio One Kenya Alliance deal.
And the name, by the way, for the avoidance of doubt, is Azimio One Kenya. That is the name of the Grand Coalition, which will then be registered under the amended Political Parties Act as a coalition political party.
However, in a quick rejoinder, the Azimio Secretariat led by Raila Odinga campaign team spokesperson Professor Makau Mutua dismissed Kalonzo's sentiments, saying it was indeed a coalition political party that was signed upon and that the Oka name did not feature anywhere on the text.
What was signed on Saturday was an agreement to form the Azimio coalition party.
Chama haiwezi kuwa kwa coalition mbili. Tuelewane hivyo. Chama haiwezi kubaliwa na sheria kuwa katika coalition mbili.
It is a coalition of parties. It is not a coalition of coalitions because it's not provided for in law. The law that we passed is where individual parties come together to form a coalition, but not coalitions coming together to form coalitions.
The confusion now starting an uproar as to whether Kalonzo really understood what he signed before making the Raila Tosha declaration. During the joint rally at the historic Jacaranda grounds on Saturday, Kalonzo stated that the three-legged stool of the Azimio Grand Coalition had culminated in the Azimio Oka Coalition.
Tumeunda Azimio One Kenya. Na kwamba vile Mheshimiwa Uhuru amezungumza, tuko na 3 important pillars. Pillar ya Jubilee, pillar ya Oka, na pillar ya ODM.
During the interview, Kalonzo also downplayed the running mate question, saying he had never asked Raila to pick him as his running mate.
This agreement, does that mean then that you will be the running mate of...
no, we did not discuss those things. No, those discussions did not take place at all. Yeah.
But what is in it for Kalonzo Musyoka and
it doesn't matter what is it. What the important question is, what is in it for Kenyans?
The Wiper leader also addressed concern that he had delayed the Azimio NDC for about 6 hours following heated negotiations before the deal was struck.
There is a misconception that I kept everybody waiting for 6 hours. It was the other way around. I was kept waiting for 6 hours. We were supposed to have had a breakfast meeting with President Uhuru and Raila Odinga.
Although the details still remain scanty and top secret, Azimio insiders have promised that the document, which was agreed upon by over 26 political parties, will be made public in due course.
The reason I kept on saying I'll be a big fool is because I knew of the contents. Because that document said whether we won or lost in 2017, in 2022 Raila Odinga was going to support our candidature. But that is now water under the bridge.
Emmanuel To, KTN News.
Documents are very important. We know what documents have done before. Dismantling of NASA was predicated on, of course, a document. But right now we have this particular agreement, but things are not very clear and limpid, as Kalonzo Musyoka is saying there. But I just want to also give you a snippet of that exclusive interview that they had with our reporter, Jeff there, just to give you an inside scoop of what he thinks about this particular agreement at the end of the day. Listen in.
Are you confident that this deal that you've signed with President Uhuru Kenyatta, the three-legged stool, President Uhuru Kenyatta, yourself, as well as ODM leader Raila Odinga, will be binding? Will it be honored?
Of course, a lot depends on who, when one is sworn as President of the Republic, and then you're given the instruments of power. A lot will depend on the goodwill of hopefully my brother Raila Odinga, because I pray that he becomes the next president. And I said I'll go everywhere to tell Kenyans, let's give it to this brother. Okay? Now, of course, we have put sufficient safeguards under the three-legged stool. Okay? And I think that I'm not quite sure at this stage whether I'm at liberty to disclose the details of that coalition agreement, because it is an agreement. But what the difference here is, this is going to be registered as a coalition political party. It will have a legal entity. Once this is done with the register of political parties and the documents filed, then Kenyans will be free to acquaint themselves with the details provisions of the three-legged stool approach coalition.
There is one Kenya alliance, and you had an agreement, a cooperation deal to form that coalition on Friday, yes, a day before that Azimio la Umoja NDC at KICC. Yes. We saw Wiper, we saw KANU, we saw NAK Kenya during the signing at Kempinski. We saw Farmers Party, and the Jirongo's party. But during the signing of the agreement at KICC on Saturday, Martha Karua was nowhere to be seen. UDP was nowhere to be seen.
Yes.
What happened?
There was nothing there. I think it was, first of all, you'll agree with me, even what people signed at KICC. If I asked all those secretaries general, what did they affix their signatures to? Probably nobody knows. Okay? That's why the whole thing, even when the director of elections, ODM, kijana yetu Junet Mohammed, was looking for a proposer for Raila to become Azimio la Umoja candidate. Now you see. And yet, we have agreed that the new political outfit is Azimio Oka, is Azimio One Kenya. So ideally should have been proposed as such. If that had happened, if this thing was not rushed like it was, we would then all have come as One Kenya Alliance to sign. Because quite frankly, my Secretary General did not sign the second document because it was specific about Azimio. We were not Azimio. So what was passed there, Raila Odinga was given a ticket as presidential candidate of Azimio at KICC. But when we went to Jacaranda, I clarified that now, on behalf of Oka, and I believe my friends would agree with me, I still would want to have a meeting because it's only Gideon who showed up. I was talking to Cyrus Jirongo, he was caught up in the traffic. Farmers Party, by the way, was represented at KICC. And David Ongenya of MDG, I don't know whether they managed to come there. The whole thing was confusing because they were there to announce Raila as a flag bearer or presidential candidate of Azimio la Umoja. Now, that thing has shifted to Azimio One Kenya. I don't know, our lawyers, one of them being myself, will have to really reflect on the technicality, that legal technicality. What, however, is clear is going forward, we hope in the next few days to register Azimio One Kenya.
It's time to reflect also on the technicalities that we have Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka really talking about of that particular agreement. And I just want to ask Dan Mazo, looking and hearing on what Kalonzo is saying, first of all, this second document that was not really signed, what was it?
First of all, I don't think documents matter anymore.
Documents do matter. You've presented documents before. We had a presser, and you said these were the documents that was agreed upon with Raila Odinga when we have the NASA formation. So you can't just slide it off and say documents don't matter.
Documents don't really matter. I think most important thing for now, and for 10 years, we have worked with Honorable Raila Odinga, and we have supported him as Wiper. And now, remember, first of all, there was an Oka agreement, and then now Azimio agreement, and then the three-legged stool. And in this three-legged stool, although my learned senior friend, Amolo Otiende, has talked of a council of 7 people, I think the most important thing is the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, and the Honorable Raila Odinga. Their agreement as gentlemen. I think that's what is going to drive the whole process. And the most important thing, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has said, there comes a time, the nation is greater than an individual, and he has said he is going to support Raila Odinga. The most important thing now is the candidature.
So why should he go to the pros and really talk about all these documents that are not really signed? You cannot really paper over something that I think also is holding dearly in his heart right now, and he thinks this will be a potential tripping wire moving on, especially where you're coming from. You should be all the wiser as a party.
Well, from the history of documents in this country, they have never worked. So I think the most important thing now is...
So we shouldn't go to that particular arena and then, pull wool over Kenyans' eyes that we're signing agreements at the end of the day. Just go and say and make pronouncements.
Those documents explain some detail, but I think the most important thing is how the new president of the republic will drive the republic, whether they form government or they don't form government. That's the most important thing. And just like the story of the Challenger, there's a great story driven by politics called the Challenger, which was going to be launched to the space. But it had one issue: the oil seals and the technocrats knew they were leaking at certain temperatures, freezing temperatures. They will release fuel. And they were pressurized by politicians. And unfortunately, it took off with that little problem. And it never made it. You remember the Challenger in history of American government. It crushed everybody's spirits, but they lived after it. So whatever oil leaks are likely to be found in this new Challenger, Azimio La Oca, as the newspapers are putting it, I'm sure they'll be sorted before the Challenger takes off.
You bring about the Challenger, and that was a big story. If you may remember, Otena Molo, a whole Challenger, it was just a simple O-ring.
Yes, O-ring.
It's a simple O-ring.
Yes.
A $1.
Yes,
O-ring.
$1 O-ring. Yes.
That it brought the Challenger down.
And it was worth billions of dollars.
So I'm amazed you yourself, especially a lawyer of your provenance, really coming on this table today and saying that documents don't really matter. You go to courts with documents.
Yes.
You make your case with documents.
Yes.
Don't you think documents are important on this particular matter? Oh, it is not just because Kalonzo has said... No. It is not because Kalonzo has said, Raila Tosha, baseline, we should move on. No, documents don't really matter. Then 5 years down the line, you'll have you taking special umbrage. Oh, the memorandum of understanding was not really honored. We cannot be paid, the monies that we are warranted to be paid by ODM at the end of the day. Then you should be raising these questions if you don't do your homework right now.
Well, the history has shown it differently. And that's why I don't want to refine 20 documents in future. Politics is not court. Politics is only taken to the court of politics.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Politics is not court. Let's hear from the senior counsel. Documents don't matter in this case.
My friend Dan Manzo knows that indeed documents matter. They do matter ultimately. He's right in one thing. Dan Manzo is right in saying ultimately this whole issue is about the agreeing on the presidential candidate. And on that, the matter is settled. That the presidential candidate on the one side, where we belong to, will be Raila Amolo Odinga. On the other side, it will be William Ruto. And on that, we agreed, and we've been saying that here for a long time, that we know who the candidates will be. So let everyone choose which side they want to belong to. Documents do matter, and ultimately, on this one, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka is right in three respects. First, he's right in saying that ultimately, let us support Raila Amolo Odinga to be the 5th president, because it is the right thing to do. He is also right in saying that the DP position was never discussed. It is not part of the discussion so far. That is an issue that will be handled by the council that I spoke about. Thirdly, Kalonzo Musyoka is right in saying that he was not the cause of the delay. I can tell you as a fact that that is true.
So this was misinformation from the media?
No, not a creation of the media. The reason for the delay, and I told you that there were lawyers and the principals who are involved, there were three sticky issues. One of them was the issue of the name to be adopted. The second one was an issue of composition of the council, the coalition council. And the third one was whether you can actually have the so-called coalitions in the coalition agreement. What was ultimately agreed, one, was that the council will be composed of 7 people, as I indicated. There was an issue of numbers, but that was resolved. Secondly, and I think the Honorable Kanini Kega just explained that on the clip, it was then agreed that we could not have the coalitions in the coalition agreement. So the coalition agreement, as contemplated by law, and which was what was signed and which is what is going to be registered, comprises of individual parties. Even the Jubilee coalition, which already had arrangements with other parties, came as individual parties, not as a coalition. And that is why even the One Kenya Alliance could not be incorporated as an alliance, because the law contemplates individual parties that can form a coalition. So in terms of the document, and it's not a big deal, it's just a question of fact versus law. As a matter of fact, One Kenya Alliance is part of Azimio. As a matter of fact, the Jubilee Alliance is part of Azimio. And as a matter of fact, the ODM configuration and there are a number of parties with ODM are also part of it. But in terms of the law, all the parties that signed individually. The only thing that changed, and that's the third aspect, the name of the coalition did not change. It is still Azimio la Umoja. But it was agreed that we would adjust the slogan. So far, our slogan has been Azimio inawezekana. But it was agreed that we would change the slogan to Azimio, and then the response would be One Kenya. But it was added that even that slogan can be further adjusted as agreed by the coalition partners, all the partners that signed it. So to that extent, it is in the sloganeering that the One Kenya is incorporated. But in terms of signing, it was individual.
It was individual. Okay, we take a short break, but we wanted just also to you marinate on that particular naming as well, because we understand that we have members of Azimio right now who are feeling the Azimio name should not be changed because it has really gained traction right now. And now if we bring Azimio Oka, sort of you actually giving a spawning ground for confusion, as it were, at the end of the day. So still, we have the devils in the details. The name is a tripping wire in terms of the agreement. Let's make it very clear on the other side of a break. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. Don't go away. Much more on the other side of a break.
KTN News. Get the whole story.